we'll start first with Chris Price. Chris is the planning director for Prince William County. He's been a planner for 17 years for different counties, cities, and other regional organizations in Pennsylvania and elsewhere. Chris?
Well, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you tonight, and I'd like to thank the Prince William Conservation Alliance for hosting the event, inviting myself and the other panelists. Prince William County has a very long history of rural preservation. We had a study done back in the 60s by Harlan Bartholomew and Associates, 1964 to be exact, and that was the first time within the county from a planning perspective that they designated a portion of the county as what they call agricultural and estate. In 1972, we formalized that for the first time in the county's comprehensive plan. And that area, generally what's the rural area today, has carried forward in successive comprehensive plans and continues to exist today. In 1998, the area really was formalized for the first time. It kind of had been generally shown on maps for a long time. It was formalized into what we call in planning the rural area, what's colloquially known as the rural crescent. And that is a land use designation that, like its name says, is a rural area, and its counterpart is the development area. One would think that having a development area and a rural area, that the rural area is intended to be a growth management tool, and certainly it has large lot zoning, 10-acre lots for residential units. But interestingly, that is not one of the goals of the comprehensive plan. You will not find within the comprehensive plan that the rural area is intended to be a growth management tool. So there's already a disconnect between what people think and sort of how it functions versus what our comprehensive plan goals say. In addition, the rural area exists in many chapters of the comprehensive plan. So it's referenced in our land use plan, in our sewer plan, in our parks and open space plan, and other chapters. But there are conflicting statements, conflicting goals, unclear goals within those planning documents. And so about a year and a half ago, given those elements, and given questions that come up from time to time to my office, from our planning commission, from the community, from developers, from the Board of County Supervisors, I recommended to the board that we procure consultant services to come in and take a look at the rural area. Number one, to make sure what are our goals and objectives. The goals that are in the comprehensive plan today, are they what we intended them to be and moving forward? It's been since 1998 since we've evaluated the rural area. Generally, we evaluate things every 5 years, but we've not done it in over 15 years. So it's a good time to take a look, revalidate those goals, talk to the community. Is there anything else we should be doing? In addition, the goals that we do have, are they being effective? So one of the principal goals in the comprehensive plan, for example, is the preservation of farmland. But I can tell you over time, we have had a diminution of the farmland within the county. Not sure that the rural policies cause that it's cause and effect relationship, but it is clearly a goal that we're not meeting. So we need to revalidate those goals, any new goals we need to identify, how effective have we been in achieving the goals that we have. Are there any best practices out there that other jurisdictions that are similar to Prince William County or have similar context? We're kind of on the edge of a growing metropolitan area. We're in the path of development, but we have great natural resources. Are there other land use planning tools that could maybe help us achieve those goals better than what we use right now? Really, we have a one-size-fits-all growth management plan. We've drawn a line in the sand, which is the rural area, and then we've implemented that rural area generally through large lot zoning, 10-acre lots. Is that the only way we could achieve our goals? The consultant is taking a look using their expertise and best practices from around the country to analyze other ways that we might be able to achieve those goals. We've worked through a series of community meetings over the past year. So we've had workshops, stakeholder groups, interactive sessions. We had an online survey. Throughout the course of the process, we've had hundreds and hundreds of participants, which we didn't do the last time. And we've got a lot of really good community feedback. So I think the consultants are going to have very good information to either revalidate our goals or bring some new goals forward, augment those goals, to minimize or increase the clarity between the goals that exist within different comp plan chapters, to bring us best practices of ways we might be able to do things better. So I hear a lot about, we talk a lot about environmental preservation. We talk a lot about houses versus farms, or houses versus the environment, infrastructure needs throughout the community. but it's not. It's an integrated system. So when we do something in the rural area, it also affects the development area. We have rural preservation goals that should really be central to our urban development goals. So one of the principal reasons jurisdictions generally have a preservation area is to help achieve urban development goals. We have regional activity centers in Prince William County. We have centers of commerce and centers of community. We have transit-oriented development opportunities where we could really maximize the infrastructure that already exists in Prince William County. And the rural area can play a part of that, but right now they're not linked together at all. So one of the tools that's available, just by way of example, is something called transfer of development rights, where a developer in the private market could negotiate with a private landowner, purchase development rights, and instead of building houses within the rural area, they put a permanent conservation easement on the property and then take that development density and apply it within the development area in strategic areas that have infrastructure that can accommodate that growth. So there's really some smart planning tools that allow property owners and farmers to have much more financial gain now and in the future from their properties than they currently have. It allows real preservation with real conservation easements in perpetuity rather than cutting land up into 10-acre lots. And it allows us to achieve our urban development goals. So that's what we expect from the consultant, is to bring us recommendations that preserve open space, preserve our environmental characteristics, serve as a growth management tool that supports our urban development goals, and to provide some flexibility to property owners to do things in a variety of different ways. You're always going to have, if you want to develop and cut it into large lots, someone will always have that opportunity. But there's probably a variety of opportunities that are as good or maybe better and maybe even much better that can achieve better financial gain for the property owners, more overall open space preservation, better environmental planning. When you do 10-acre lots, of course, you're scattering units and infrastructure all over the place, and you're really destroying a lot of natural open space wildlife habitat by taking those lots and spreading them out. Is there a better way so that we can have bigger contiguous areas of open space? Really what they're looking for is win-win solutions. I know people are very passionate about the subject, and we hear from folks on all sides of this issue. But at the margins, when people are talking about the issue, there's a lot of commonality there, and people have cracked this nut before. We sort of look internally at our land use planning policies, and this is the way we've done it, and expect that maybe that's the way we'll continue it in the future. But that's why we brought experts that have done this in other places. We really think that they're going to come up with recommendations that will be a positive way forward, that will have something for everyone, that will give us better development, better preservation goals, help us better achieve our urban development goals, and that they're measurable. Right now, one of the biggest challenges within the comprehensive plan is we have no measurable objectives for rural preservation. So everything else in the plan has levels of service standards or XYZ standards that we're expected to achieve. And we're measured on how successful we are when we are achieving them, and we know to direct resources somewhere where we're not achieving them. With rural preservation, we have no objective goals. There's no level of service for open space preservation or rural preservation. There's nothing that someone could benchmark to say, are we doing a good job or are we not doing a good job? All we can do is describe what's happening within the community. There's probably ways that we can deliver better open space planning and have measurable goals that the community can have as a standard, that the communities help to build, that the community can buy into that standard, and over time hold our feet to the fire to make sure that we're meeting that standard. So really that was the intent of initiating the rural area study. I think one of the misperceptions out there is that the study is going to come back and then the board is going to adopt something. The study is answering questions. The board has asked very specific questions. Is there a better way? Are there tools out there that are authorized in the state of Virginia for use that we are not using? So the answer to that is yes. There's a lot of them. We generally use one. It's the large lot zoning, but there's a lot of tools that are probably better for the context that we're in. The second, we have a one-size-fits-all rural area policy. Okay? So the rural area exists along Route 15, It exists near Nokesville. It exists near Quantico. Those are very different areas. When you're along 15 and 29, your context is historic preservation, scenic views, journey through hallowed ground. When you're in Nokesville, that is real small town America. It's a real rural community. 30 seconds. And when you're in Quantico, our rural preservation strategies should be focused around preserving the base's mission. The base has a critical mission. We want them to be here. We want them to be strategic partners. All of those areas are very different contexts. We have the very same land use planning tools that we apply uniformly across the county. And then lastly, when an issue comes up with, say, a fence in Dale City or in Gainesville, our ordinances are uniform. So we solve that problem. And now we've created a problem for people trying to do business in Nokesville, for example. We have very suburban zoning standards that we apply uniformly throughout the county. And is that really rural? If we're really talking about a rural area, is that what we mean? So it's been a very good conversation with the community. Look forward to continuing the conversation and appreciate the opportunity to be with you today.